I mean, it's also very scary, like the tumbles, the rollovers, the accidents that these people have in these cars. I mean, considering they're going at such high speeds, it's on such difficult terrain. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. This week, January 25th through the 28th, the World Rally Championship is kicking off in Monte Carlo. That's why I thought, as a new rally fan, I wanted to take a little bit of a dive into what is the World Rally Championship. And as per usual, once we cover a new series, we're going to talk about what, when, where, notable drivers, and anything else that might be interesting to you guys that at least I found interesting during my research about this. Again, this is the first time I'll be following the World Rally Championship this year, so I'm super excited. I've seen lots of clips online. Of course, I've done my research, and I've also seen lots of memes and things on Instagram, and it seems just absolutely incredible. The skills and tenacity and just, I mean, I think it looks absolutely spectacular. I'm really excited to watch my first rally this coming weekend. Of course, I've been following the Dakar rally earlier this month, which had just finished, but this is going to be something different since they're shorter stages. It's still very fast paced. It's a little bit, I feel, more condensed, not just in length, but also the space that they have. Just looking at the pictures and videos from last year's Monte Carlo race. So I'm super, super excited to watch it. Let me share what I have found out so far about the World Rally Championship with you. What is it? So the World Rally Championship was established in 1973. It is the second oldest FIA World Championship, right after F1. Rally basically means that we have the driver, we have the co-driver driving at high speeds during the most difficult terrain there is. For example, they drive through snow and ice and asphalt, gravel, sand, mud, anything you can think of. They drive through it at high speeds. I think it's absolutely incredible. When is it happening? It is happening during 10 months out of the year. As mentioned, it's kicking off this week in Monte Carlo, and it will go all the way until November. Where is it happening? It's happening over 4 continents. They're starting off in Europe. We have Africa, South America, and Asia where the rallies are happening. As mentioned, each of those different stops are going to have different terrain obstacles. I mean, everything you can think of is going to be thrown at these people, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. There's a couple different categories in the World Rally Championship. You have the elite category, the WRC, where they're driving actually hybrid vehicles, which I didn't know about, which I think is absolutely incredible. On top of that, they use fossil fuel-free gas. So they're working towards being more sustainable, which I think is really, really cool and also very important. After that, you have the WRC2, and then you have the junior category, which is the junior WRC and also the WRC3, which gives people the opportunity to experience the big rallies and make it through the ranks eventually to the WRC top category. Of course, in the different categories, they have different vehicles horsepowers. So the top one has the most horsepower. That's also the only category that is hybrid. And then we go to completely gas-fueled vehicles, decreasing, of course, in horsepower available to them. And what I also thought was cool, so the junior category is for drivers younger than 29. And then they also have the WRC Masters category, which is for drivers over the age of 50 that are just still not done with racing. So let's talk a little bit about the racing format. So it starts off with reconnaissance stages. So the drivers and co-drivers have 2 days to drive to different stages at a more normal speed, just to figure out the different surfaces, the different obstacles that might make things difficult for them, to figure out the different turns and corners and make notes. They have this shorthand that they use, and it's different from team to team based on how they communicate. So the co-driver writes things down to have a pace book for the actual race. So during the first 2 days, they have the reconnaissance stage. Then they have on Thursday, they have a shakedown which means that they can actually drive it at a full speed to take note of the setup of the vehicle if it's correctly set up, and also if the notes that the co-driver took are working for them, if they have to make any changes to them. So on Thursday morning, we have the shakedown, and then on Thursday evening, the rally usually kicks off with the shorter, like a fan favorite kind of rally leg. Sometimes it's inside of a stadium where rally cars go head to head on a circuit, or it happens inside the host city just to kind of start off with the big bang. And this year in Monte Carlo, it's kicking off with 2 night stages, which I think is also a whole other level, that not only do they drive through the most difficult terrain at crazy high speeds, but they also drive at night with limited visibility, because of course you only have the lights from the actual vehicles and whatever is available naturally in that terrain that they drive, either the street light or the moon and the stars in the sky. The rally consists of several different stages. So you have these special stages, which are the timed events where the rally cars drive as fast as possible from point A to point B, which is timed to 1/10 of a second. So speed is of the essence. Sometimes these special stages are also called loops if they do them twice in a day. Sometimes they do them in the morning and then also in the afternoon, the same leg, which is going to be timed twice. Then to go from one of the special stages to the next of the special stage is a liaison stage. The liaison stage happens also on a public road. During the special stages, those public roads are closed to the public. However, in the liaison stages, they're open. So that means the rally cars are driving at speed limit, adhering to street rules, traffic rules amongst the public from one stage to the next stage. Sometimes even the co-driver drives those stages just to give the main driver a little bit of a rest in between stages. However, they do need to make it at a specific time to the next stage, otherwise they will get a time penalty. The co-driver also will receive a road book to follow, so they know how to get from one stage to the next stage. Then on the last day of the rally on Sunday, during the morning, they usually have the final power stage of the rally, which is a big deal because not only do rally drivers get points based on who's the fastest overall in the entire rally, top 5 fastest vehicles of the power stage get additional points. The fastest team gets 5 points, and the second fastest gets 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. So that can make a big difference in the overall points, because every point counts. Overall in the rally, teams can make up to 30 points if they win all of them, and then going down from there. Also, I thought was important or interesting to know is at the beginning of the rally, it starts off based on the championship order. So thinking about the different terrains, the different surfaces, it can be pros and cons starting off. For example, if you start off in like a sand or snow terrain, if you're one of the first ones, it's a little bit tricky because you have to create the road tracks for other people to follow in, which whoever comes after you will have a little bit easier since they can follow in your tracks. You have indents already made, which might add to a little bit more grip for them on certain types of surface levels. However, if the track is asphalt, for example, being later on in the starting order might be a little bit trickier for you because there's already all kinds of debris on the road, so your surface is not as clean. Pros and cons depending on where you are in the starting order. By the last stage, the power stage, the current leader of the rally will always come in last. So they will start in the back of the track, which of course adds to the suspense to see, ooh, how did compare to the person before them? And I mean, it makes a lot of sense. The power stage is also typically broadcasted worldwide, but the remaining of the rally you can watch on Rally TV. Not only can you see the actual cars driving on the road, but there's also in-vehicle cameras available to see in-car point of view, which I'm super excited to see. I've seen some of the clips online from it. We did sign up for Rally TV this year, so we can watch it from the in-vehicle point of view, which I think it's going to be really cool to see. So now that we covered what, when, where, we know a little bit more about the racing format, let's talk about last year's winners. Last year's winner is Kalle Rovanperä from Finland. This was his second time winning the World Rally Championship with his co-driver Jone Halttunen, also from Finland, in the Toyota vehicle. And he's only 23 years old. There has been a little bit of a shock, I would say, within the World Rally Championship community, because Kalle decided this year to only participate half time. So he's not competing in all of the rally events this season. So, I mean, of course, he can still win individual rallies, but he won't be in contention for the overall World Rally Championship. Speaking of notable drivers, another very famous driver, Bastian Loeb, he has won 80 rallies within the World Rally Championship, which is absolutely incredible. And if you did follow the Dakar Rally this year, he did participate in the top category of the Rally Dakar this year as well. Another thing to point out, the countries with the most winning drivers, co-drivers, are France with 205 overall wins, and then Finland with 190 overall wins. The manufacturer that had the most wins as well is Citroën with 102 wins in total. One thing I also wanted to point out, not only is there the World Rally Championship for the driver and co-driver, and then also the manufacturer can win as well. For the manufacturer, for example, in the top category of the WRC, there's only Toyota, Hyundai, and Ford vehicles. So the manufacturers themselves have to nominate their top teams, and only if those top teams win, they will get points towards the manufacturer championship. One more notable driver I want to point out, specifically for this first upcoming rally in Monte Carlo, is Sébastien Ogier, whose hometown is the city of Gap, where the service station is in, and he is on track to win the Monte Carlo Rally a legendary number of 10 times. And since 2013, he has not placed worse than second at the Monte Carlo Rally. Like, yes, of course, it's his home turf. He knows probably every turn and hazard and obstacle and everything, but it's still incredible that he is on track to win his 10th Monte Carlo Rally. Let's see how he does this year. So let's talk about servicing the vehicles. One thing you probably already know, during the actual special stages, the driver teams cannot get any help. So they have to be essentially mechanics in their own right. They have to change a tire or whatever it is that they need to do. They have to be able to do it themselves on the car during the actual timed events. However, in the morning, in the middle of the day, and then at the end of the night, they're going to be able to get the car serviced at the so-called service park. In the morning, they have 50 minutes to work on the vehicles. During lunchtime, they have 40 minutes. And at the end of the day, they have another 45 minutes to work on the vehicles. All those different service sessions are specifically timed. If they go over, they do receive time penalties. And also important to note is that the vehicles are parked overnight in a special area where no competitors, no service folk can access the vehicles, so really nobody can touch them outside of those service stations or while they're actually on the road. Another thing I wanted to point out is retirements. So if, for example, a car has to retire due to mechanical error or because of an accident or something like that, they are allowed to continue on the next stage. However, for that stage that they retired on, they're going to get a time penalty. That means they're going to get 10 minutes added to whatever the fastest time of that stage was. And they can participate in the next stage as long as the vehicle is safe and drivable. Another thing that I found really interesting is the so-called zero car. So the zero car drives on the rally track before the actual race begins. Sometimes there are up to 3 zero vehicles. So the first one is called 000, and it will drive at a slower speed through the rally track just to let people know things are about to start. Then there's the 00 vehicle, which drives at a little bit of a higher speed. They're also sometimes considered the safety cars of the event. And then the 0 vehicle drives at a much faster speed through the track, letting people know the race is about to begin. So attention, beware, things are about to kick off. And now lastly, as we usually try to cover, if we can figure it out, how can you or I participate in a World Rally Championship? Of course, you need a valid driver's license. You also need an international racing license. And basically, from what I read online, so you have to compete in a number of national or local events, also pass certain exams. Through that, eventually you'll be able to get the rally license and then participate in more international events to work up the ranks. During my research, I of course watched a bunch of compilation videos, the highlights of last year's or the highlights of Monte Carlo rally race that's just coming up. I mean, it's also very scary, like the tumbles, the rollovers, the accidents that these people have in these cars. I mean, considering they're going at such high speeds, it's on such difficult terrain, it's scary. Even as a viewer, I thought it was very, very scary seeing what they do. And I mean, it's incredible that they can do it, but it's also so nerve-wracking to watch. But I also thought, which was such a relief, is that the safety of these vehicles is just incredible. I mean, of course, they have lots of advancements in rally vehicles or racing in general. I mean, I was already impressed that it's a hybrid vehicle, which I think is so cool. Oh, and also, it's not only a hybrid vehicle, but it sounds really good still. Because I know that's one of the things that a lot of people, including myself, doesn't like about electric cars. Just the sound is not there, but even the hybrid vehicle in rallies sounds really nice. Then not only that has been advancements, but also safety. I mean, they have the rolling cages, they have added suspensions and yada, 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 which is so important. Like when you see some of these tumbles and turns and things that these drivers go through, and then you just see them get out unscathed almost. I mean, they say they're totally fine. I'm sure they have a little bump and bruise and stuff, but it's just incredible that some of these tumbles that they survived them. That was just one of the other things I thought was so cool. I mean, that's one of the reasons I've been falling in love with racing. It's not just the skill level and talent and hard work that these people put into it, not just the drivers and the co-drivers, but the entire team and crew behind them, but also the advancement in technology, working towards being more sustainable, but also the safety. Like, yes, the high risk, the adrenaline makes it fun, but I also don't want anybody to get hurt. And I'm sure you feel the same way. That's all I have to say about the World Rally Championship. I'm personally super excited to watch. Let us know in the comments below if you'll be watching it as well. Or do you have an idea who's gonna win this Monte Carlo rally? Is it potentially gonna be one of the 3 major contenders of this overall World Championship season? Is it gonna be Neuville, Evans, Tanek? I don't know. We'll see. I'm super excited to watch it. But for now, I wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in again. Remember to like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. And as per usual, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.